What was the first title of the first theatrically released color cartoon to feature Mickey? Was it A, Brave Little Tailor, B, The Delivery Boy, or C, The Band Concert? Brave Little Tailor, Delivery Boy, or The Band Concert? We're going to start with Katrina. What do you think? First theatrically released color cartoon for Mickey.
I don't know. I mean, he did do a lot of these things.
He did.
But which one did he do theatrically?
First.
He was part of a band.
Of every show is when Katrina repeats the question back to me.
He was in a band. He did Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
This is Tyler.
That is Tyler, not a Taylor.
Don't ever call me Taylor, anybody.
Right.
I forgot what the other one was.
The Delivery Boy.
Delivery Boy, Brave Little Tailor, and the
He
Band
did
Concert.
deliver
Okay.
as a boy.
Quite a bit of delivery on this Mickey Mouse front.
Okay, I'm going to do the band concert.
You think the band
I have no
concert.
idea, yeah.
Interesting you would say that.
He's just, I don't know. I think of him in like the Mickey Mouse thing and cheering, being like part of a band.
Okay. Tyler, your answer to what was the title of the first theatrically released color cartoon to feature Mickey? Brave Little Tailor, Delivery Boy, or the Band Concert?
I also think it was the Band Concert.
Do you?
I was torn between that and Brave Little Tailor, but I just don't see that as his first one. I don't know. That seems like a later, let's do another story with him. So I'm going anyway. I don't know. I'm going with C.
Right. Band Concert.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Final answer.
Okay. Producer Tony.
Thank you, Regis.
Well, for the time, I feel my good feeling is A.
Brave Little Tailor.
Brave Little Tailor. I think of the Brave Little Toaster.
Yeah, that's a great movie.
Right. Yeah, I think of that too.
It's a theme.
Toast. Avocado toast. We have David saying C, the Band Concert. Judith also saying C. Bree saying C. Behind the Park saying C. Daniel saying C. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all got it except for Tony. It is the Band Concert. Congratulations on that front.
Nobody gets a sound effect for that.
Yeah, well, Tony, you get a sound.
There we go.
Ouch. And while luck may have not been on Tony's side, it could be on yours today, all by leaving the phrase that pays underneath this video. Right after the live show is over, leave the comment Pixar Place. Pixar Place is the phrase that pays this week. All you got to do is leave that comment between now and Monday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific time. If you are the winner, we will reach out to you and get my new book, Standalone: The Walt Disney Way, shipped your direction. All by entering Pixar Place in the comment section below after the live show. And on today's broadcast, we are going to be talking about how the streaming service, Disney Plus, well, they might be bringing advertising to the streaming platform because they want to bring constantly on TV channels to the streaming service. We'll talk about it. Disney World has earned its first Michelin Star. What restaurant? We'll discuss. Disney Parks, they are making changes to the disability access service from coast to coast after what sounds like rampant abuse, unfortunately. And Disneyland characters are taking another major step in unionizing. We will discuss that. And Disneyland has cleared a major hurdle in the $1.9 billion expansion for Disneyland Forward. All that and so much more. News Talk Live begins for you next. Disney News Talk Live, your opinions, your Disney parks experiences. So great to be with you once again, everybody. Hi, Wade here for the Kingdom Report, joined as always by wonderful friends to talk all things Disney parks. Wonderful friends who have names, of course. Ladies and gentlemen, joining me today, the great one, theme park analyst Tyler Crouch, and his blushing bride, our travel agent extraordinaire, Katrina Manzone. Good to see you both.
Hey, everybody.
Hi, everybody. I need to unmute myself. That was my bad.
I hear you.
I did a quick half a second wait to see, is she gonna say hello first? No? Okay, I'll jump in then. Okay. And then she said it, or then I said it, then she says it. It was worked out perfectly, actually. I think that
It's
mute
true.
was a boon.
And
It's
we're
as
not
though-
even nearby each other. So, boom, we did it. It's just like this weird telepathy thing that we
Oh,
have.
It's like we're right. It's like it's like Wi-Fi, right? There's a wall between us, but it's a thin wall, so the Wi-Fi still works.
Yeah.
Beautiful mind connection you
Oh my
two
gosh,
seem to have.
stop.
That's yes, two peas in a pod here. Well, lots of stories to talk about here today. Not just Disneyland now clearing the major hurdle to move Disneyland forward, if you will. But also we
Forwarder.
got forward, more forward, you could say.
Forwarded or
Even more.
It's gonna be the forwardest it's ever been.
The most forward you've ever seen. So we'll
Sure.
chat about that and exactly what's going on in the city of Anaheim when it comes to the big expansion plans. Michelin Star rated restaurant for the first time ever at Walt Disney World. Frankly, and we'll talk about this too, but I thought this place already had a Michelin star, and that's why they stood out. So I don't know where I got
Ah.
that from and
They
was
took it
living with this in
away.
my mind.
They had it at
Is that what
one
They
point.
happened?
had it and they took it
Yeah.
away. I think it was like pre-COVID, right? It was
Uh,
like
I
it was
believe, yeah.
or right during it was like
Oh.
it didn't succeed enough and then they got it back.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you
So I'm
can
not
lose
crazy.
it. Yeah, you can definitely lose it.
Which they
Wow.
did.
Okay, good. I'm glad they
Wow.
do that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent. Well, they got it back. Which restaurant? We will zero in on it. And I know we all love Disney Plus around here. Would you like them to add TV channels and advertising, ads in between TV
Oh,
channels like you're watching cable? What do you think, Katrina?
oh my. That seems like too much. Like, I know they
Mm.
have it on Peacock. They have that type of thing where it's like they're not really channels, they're just like fake channels where they air stuff all the time, so you can just like pop in and pretend you're watching
Yeah.
channels.
Just smart TVs just do this now.
Yeah, and I'm like, "Okay, well, yeah, right?" And they have like
You're
the food
scrolling
channel.
through you can scroll through a guide and then you slowly realize, wait, all of these television channels are fake. None of these are real.
Yeah, it's
Well,
weird. I don't know. I think it'd be
fake
cool.
channels, they
Too
might be
much.
coming our way.
Yeah.
When it comes to Disney Plus. So, in a new report, apparently that is where Disney Plus is going here in the near future. So, something we might have to contend with. That and many more stories to get to. But before we get too far, question of the week. If you had an opportunity to transplant a show or ride from Walt Disney World and put it in Disneyland, don't worry about where it would go, don't worry about where it would fit. This is a fantasy. I want to know a show or ride you would transplant from Disney World to Disneyland. You got one for us, Tyler?
Oh man. This is a tough one, honestly. I really couldn't think of something that I like really desperately needed over in Disneyland, but I guess frankly, the first thing that kind of pops in my head is the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, frankly. And I know a
Oh.
lot of people would be like, "Really?" But there's something about that ride that's kind of beautiful, and it is like a great centerpiece to Fantasyland, and I could see them eventually kind of demolishing that whole theater part of Fantasyland and building like a whole new section in that area, and like, unfortunately, that would probably mean they would get rid of the storybook too, but
Oh,
I don't know
no.
if that would ever happen. I'm not saying I'm not saying that I think that will definitely happen, but it's just a possibility that I've thought of before. And I don't know. I think it would be really cool to have our own little Seven Dwarfs Mine Train out here because it's just a quick little fun romp, but I think the show is really well done. And I don't know what it is about going up that lift hill and seeing the shadows of the dwarfs on the side of the wall and everything, and it brings me to that. They actually use the actual animation from the movie to create those shadows, and I just think that little detail, having that classic moment in the middle of Disneyland, Would be pretty cool.
That would be.
I would like to see that myself. I think, I always think in terms of an operational standpoint, like in the back of my mind, I'm like, yeah, think of the capacity that could add. Yes, please.
Yes.
We need that.
But you know,
What do you got,
I guess
Katrina?
the problem is they already have a Snow White ride, right? I mean,
Yeah, but that's like a fun, easygoing kids ride. This is like a bigger kids ride.
Intensity, right?
Yeah.
yeah, sure. I mean, I feel like it's like I've always kind of thought that Seven Dwarfs feels like Big Thunder Mountain with training wheels, you know?
Yeah, and they don't give enough respect, you know what I mean? This is a ride about them, not Snow White. She can take a hike
Take a
That's
hike.
true.
for a
That's
sec,
true. It
you
does
know?
have nothing to do with Snow White, except
Yeah.
unless you spin all 7 barrels at the same time.
That's true.
And if you know what I'm saying, then you know what I'm saying. And if you don't,
know what you're saying.
then that's okay.
Google it.
Google it. I know what you're saying. I feel you. Yes, I
So-
do.
So yeah, I'll go with the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Why the heck not?
Why the heck not? And you're doing it. And you're being frank
You're doing
while you're
it,
being
Tyler.
Tyler.
I could be both.
You could be. And Katrina, if
Mm.
you had to choose, what Disney World transplant would you put in Disneyland?
Oh my God. See, this is so hard. I
So
had one and I was like, oh my God, this is it. But then I started thinking, nah, leave that there. And if everybody knows what that is, that's living with the land. You leave it there.
Oh,
Because I want to go visit it and be like, I missed you.
yeah,
And
it's
then the
nice to
plants
visit.
go, I miss you too. And then I'm
you're
like,
so
yay.
special.
So I think I would want the Fiesta tour to actually come to Disneyland
Oh wow.
over in Mexico. Because I like boat rides, and we only really have like 2 boat rides
This is true.
at Disneyland, right? So, well, technically, if you want to count like, the sailing ship Columbia and the Mark Twain. But I don't really
actual-
think.
Do you count the Grizzly River Run?
No, that's not really like a boat. You're like
No.
on a raft.
Storybook land.
It's a raft, I guess. It's a raft, right?
Yeah, like, but storybook, and then you have pirates, and then that's pretty much it. So I think it'd be really fun if we had like a really cool, legit Fiesta tour
Sure.
in
Well, we saw
Fantasyland.
that concept art for Avatar too with the boat in it. So maybe we'll be getting another boat ride, hopefully.
Oh my God, they're so relaxing, you guys.
Yeah. I do love a good boat ride.
It's so fun.
You do love a
Epcot,
good
man,
boat
it's
ride.
where the boat rides
Yeah.
are.
Oh, there
Bring
it
it,
is. Look
see?
at that. Wade,
Concept art.
Wade with the concept art.
Look at this. And then we're in California, so you can actually do a boat ride outside and have it be pleasant versus like Florida where you're going out inside the humidity and then you cry and you're like, no. Put me back
Why am I
in.
sweating so instantly?
No, thank
It's
you.
true.
Yeah.
More boat rides are always fun. And again, think of that capacity. Oh,
Heyo.
thank
Yeah.
goodness. So
Yeah.
much.
Capacity.
I would
is a good
say
thing.
on my end, I'm a simple man. I'm a simple man who likes simple things. And if it was simple, I would just shoehorn in, and there's space for this already, even though I said, we don't have to worry about that. But like the back of my mind, I went, oh, there's already a spot for it. And that is Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor.
No.
Bring that
Put
to
that right next to
Tomorrowland.
the ride.
I mean, you could put it in California Adventure too. I thought
Yeah.
putting it in like that Magic Eye Theater in Splash,
Oh.
where Space Mountain is, rather.
Yeah.
I thought, like,
Oh,
how
I thought
easy
you'd
would
want
that
to
be?
put it next to that where they used to have like the Avengers shop, like right next door, because there's like tons of space.
Oh,
to
the
build in
State
it.
17. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily shoehorned in there too. But
Yeah. Wait, you just blew everybody's mind. It was like,
I was not expecting that at all. I'm not gonna lie.
yeah, that is a people eater. It is
It
great.
is a people eater,
and it's
and not
different every
because it's
time.
monsters.
That'd be so fun.
Oh,
You know,
Tyler.
I will say, I don't know if I will say that I feel like a couple people in the chat do have the correct answer though. We all have really good answers, but I feel there is a correct answer. And
Do you?
Richard Davis and Zephyr Storm have
Yeah.
both figured it out. I feel like People Mover is the right answer. I wish we had People Mover back in Disneyland.
That
That'd
would be
the greatest.
fun.
They get it.
Yep.
They absolutely get it.
They had the right one right out the gate.
Yep, they seem to know. And Terry saying, glad to see everyone back on this sunny Saturday. Terry, it is always a pleasure to be here
Thanks,
with you
Terry.
too. And Kidder saying, I, Christopher Morris, like watching you guys on this program. And I also love watching Geeks Corner on the Daps Magic YouTube channel. Oh,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
Daps.
We love Daps.
Props
We
to
love Katie.
Daps.
Yeah,
They're so fun.
we love them.
High quality.
Good
High
friends.
quality. Yes. D. McGee saying, I'm here. Well, I'm glad you made it.
Hi.
D.
Hi,
Hey,
D.
howdy. Elizabeth saying, King of Report YouTube channel, love my favorite one fan, big heart, my favorite Disneyland, one fan, big heart, castle music.
Wow.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
I love it. Thanks, Elizabeth.
Glad you could be here as well. We have a lot of stories, as mentioned, to talk about today. Everything from Disney parks making changes to disability access service, to actors who portray Disney characters in the parks unionizing, and so much more. Let's get to it. It's time for the Disney News Review. Disney News Review time, taking a look at some of the biggest stories from across the Walt Disney Company in the past week. CBS News reporting workers who bring Disney characters to life at the entertainment giant's West Coast amusement park said on Wednesday they have gathered enough signatures to unionize. More than two-thirds of roughly 1,700 eligible Disney performers, including those who dress in character at meet and greets and parades at Disney's Southern California theme parks, said they have signed their union authorization cards and election petition with the National Labor Relations Board and are ready to move on to the next step. In lieu of voluntary recognition from the House of Mouse, that next step would be to hold a vote on union representation, which will likely happen in May or June. Quote, we love the work we do, the workers said in a statement Wednesday. We are proud to be a part of one of the greatest legacies in modern entertainment. We believe improving our collective working conditions will have a direct impact not only on cast members' lives, but the caliber of entertainment we offer at Disneyland Resort, close quote. The workers said they also have asked the Walt Disney Company to recognize their union, which they are calling Magic United, but have not received a response. Magic United's main demands include higher pay, a safe and sanitary workplace, and transparency in scheduling and rehiring, according to the group. Quote, we support our cast members' right to a confidential vote that recognizes their individual choices, Disney officials said in a statement on Wednesday. KTLA reports the Anaheim City Council has given its preliminary approval of a measure allowing for the massive $1.9 billion expansion of Disneyland, known as DisneylandForward. City Council members voted 7-0 in favor of the proposal early Wednesday. It will face a final City Council vote on May the 7th. Should the proposal be approved then, land use changes related to DisneylandForward wouldn't be implemented until 30 days later. Many people, ranging from Anaheim residents and Disneyland cast members to officials from neighboring cities, took the opportunity to speak at Tuesday's hearing, expressing both support and opposition to the expansion. The DisneylandForward proposal is a 40-year agreement that would guide where and how future developments would occur, allowing for new attractions, shops, and restaurants to be built within areas of the resort that Disney already owns and operates. Park attractions would be built alongside hotels on the west side of Disneyland Drive, along with buildings, shopping, dining, and entertainment, where the Toy Story parking area at Catella Avenue and Harbor Boulevard stands today. The company would also pay $40 million to buy Magic Way, Hotel Way, and a part of Clementine Street from the city. Magic Way serves drivers using the Pixar Pals parking structure and visiting the Disneyland Hotel. If Disney bought Magic Way, it would be transformed into a pedestrian walkway, a city spokesperson previously told KTLA. During Tuesday's meeting, many residents expressed disapproval with the potential sale of Magic Way. However, with the approval, the city ended up transferring responsibility for Magic Way over to Disney. USA Today reports Walt Disney World and Disneyland recently updated their policies for guests with disabilities, and those who lie and misuse the program will be banned for life. The two resorts announced changes to their Disability Access Service, better known as DAS, last week to keep up with the rapidly growing number of requests and continue to accommodate those who truly need it. Requests for DAS have tripled over the past 5 years. As the most popular service, DAS helps those with disabilities and their families have an enjoyable experience at the parks. The program is intended to assist a small percentage of guests who, due to a disability, maybe of developmental nature like autism or similar, are unable to wait in a conventional queue for an extended period of time, according to the DAS website. To qualify for DAS, Disney does not require any proof of disability or access needs. However, If any of the statements a guest has made during the DOS enrollment process are found to be false, the guests will be permanently barred from entering Walt Disney World and Disneyland, the website said. Any annual passes, Magic Key passes, tickets, or other park products will also be forfeited and not refunded. Although DOS was recently updated, this policy has been in place for a while. Once enrolled, guests can go to an attraction, request a return time, and wait somewhere else until it's time to redeem their return time. To qualify and enroll in DOS, guests need to do a virtual video meeting with a specially trained cast member. Previously, this was possible to do in person to determine what services may be appropriate to support their visit to the theme parks, including DOS, according to the website. And Forbes reports that a new Michelin Star has been awarded to a Walt Disney World Resort restaurant. Housed at the Grand Floridian Resort, Victoria and Albert's is known for its difficult-to-secure reservations for an opulent Victorian-era-inspired meal. The prefix meal is $295 per guest, with optional wine pairings starting at $155 per person and zero-proof pairings starting at $115. To round out the elegant experience, a formal dress code is encouraged for all diners who must be 10 years of age or older. It's an incredible honor to be recognized by Michelin for the innovative dining experience our team brings to life here at Victoria and Albert's, Chef de Cuisine Matthew Sowers said in a statement. Everybody on our team earned this star, from our stewards to our culinarians to our pastry chefs, and we hope to inspire future generations of culinary professionals to follow their dreams, close quote. And finally, Polygon reports streaming is taking yet another step toward cable. Just weeks after combining its Hulu and Disney Plus services, Disney Plus is adding streaming channels, according to a report from The Information. This marks the latest push toward the old model of TV watching from one of the world's biggest streaming companies. And while that may sound like a step backwards, it's probably a good thing in the long run. Disney Plus's new feature will reportedly include separate channels for different types of content. This seems likely to include things like a Marvel channel, a Star Wars channel, and maybe even something collecting the animated works from both Pixar and Disney. The channels would run 24/7 and would include content curated by Disney, which users could jump straight into whenever they log into the service. This idea, basically cable channels for streaming services, it isn't a Disney Plus invention. Other services like Shudder, Peacock, and Pluto have been doing it for years, and the Criterion channel just started its channel last week. In every case, the channels are met with universal acclaim. While streaming has certainly proven that people have an appetite for choosing their own content, anyone who has stared at Netflix's homepage for an hour just to close it and do something else instead knows that endless options aren't always the best. In fact, most people love to stumble on something new they might not have chosen to watch themselves, or an old favorite they forgot they loved. Meanwhile, the appeal of channels is obvious for the services themselves too. It lets them shine lights on the less viewed titles in their catalog, or direct viewers' attention to a movie or TV series they might have never considered otherwise. On top of that, in the most old-world cable way possible, 24/7 channels are a haven for advertisements, something that more and more streaming services are introducing as they discover that the profitability of the subscription-only model is questionable at best. Well, there you have it. Let's talk about Disneyland Forward first. We've been waiting on whether or not the city was going to initially approve plans here. There's been a lot of discussion about what was going to be included, how much was going to be spent, that sort of thing. Now we have our answer. The City of Anaheim saying, yeah, let's move this forward. Let's get this ready to go. There's one final approval left that is needed for this, but it is more real than ever before, even with the opposition showing up at the council meeting saying, not exactly thrilled about Magic Way going away, but it sounds like that is now in Disney's wheelhouse to use as it sees fit. What are we thinking, Tyler, when it comes to Disneyland Forward now? We realize the investment has to happen. they promised it. When are they going to start spending this money? When are they going to start moving some earth?
That's a good question. I mean, I guess there's still one more round, right? And then, I mean, I don't even know. But to be honest, I kind of was excited about them owning Magic Way, but then when I realized it was like for a walkway, that got a little bit scary for me thinking about the traffic around Anaheim. But then if I think about just like Disneyland owning Magic Way, if they could just really envelop the theme park around it, that would just be like a huge thing for them. So for the theme park, that would be great. For the traffic in Anaheim, that would be pretty wild because it would really cut off sort of this little secret vein that, takes you over to the side of Catella that has like Weston on it and stuff like that. But I wasn't sure if this was going to happen as I feel like a lot of people weren't, because in the past, the city of Anaheim has been a little bit weird about agreeing to plans that Disney has. But
even stood in the way at one point, right? Like,
oh,
even
for
Yeah.
sure,
blocked them
yeah.
from moving forward. Yeah.
And I've never really understood it personally because, like, let's all be honest, the reason Anaheim is what it is because of Disneyland. I mean, sure, if Disneyland wasn't there, would it still be a fine city? Sure, I'm sure it would be, but there's just so much tourism there and everything. I mean, they make the majority of their money because of Disneyland. So for them to deny Disney like at all these different bypasses has always been weird to me. So, but they do it. So I just wasn't sure what to think was going to happen here. So good for them. We're moving forward. The Magic Way thing is a little bit iffy to me. But I would also, because at first I was like, oh, well, that would be great because then they could do construction that they needed so that they could like build infrastructure for the parking lots and stuff. And then when I read, oh no, it's for they want to make it a walkway. I was like, oh, I started getting worried for Anaheim. So, it's like there's like a give and a take, that's the problem with being so landlocked too. But look at this map right now. If you look at this, oh, it's going away. But if you
As to what it's going to be.
this is what it's going to be. Yeah. So, I mean, I could
Supposedly.
see, but you can still see Magic Way down on the bottom there. Imagine if Magic Way was just more theme park. And you can
Yeah, well, that's
see how,
Disneyland Drive down there. Magic
Oh,
Way
that
is
is.
the one, yeah,
Oh,
between
it's the one
parking
over by
garage,
Disneyland,
downtown
yeah.
Disney. Yeah,
Right. Yeah. So, I don't know. I just feel like
this side.
it would be a little bit scary, but right, this side. Oh, maybe I was thinking of the wrong street this whole entire time. Maybe everything I just said makes no
Isn't
sense.
Magic Way the one where you drive into Disneyland Hotel?
Yeah,
Yep,
I think it
that's the
is.
one.
It's the
Okay.
entrance,
Right
right?
alongside
Yeah.
the parking garage. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that one, okay, fine. I don't know why they
So,
were like angry about the closure because it's like really short.
yeah.
It's just like they're the sneaky back way of where they need to go if there's like, to U-turn or whatever.
Right. So I apologize. I actually everything I just said doesn't even make any sense because I was thinking
It's
of the
okay,
wrong
babe.
street.
We
whole
don't all
opinion.
know streets.
But I still think that would be interesting. Why not give that? Actually, why not give Magic Way to them? Who cares? I,
Oh my god.
Not nearly as bad as you thought. And you mentioned here a second ago that, I mean, obviously the city has not always been friendly in recent years. And something I've said on previous broadcasts is look at the makeup of the city council now. This group, which again in the story voted 7-0 in favor of the proposal, this group is almost entirely made up of people that Disney ushered in to
Mm.
replace those that stood in the way the last time,
Sure.
because it got really hairy. And, they stopped Disney from doing what they wanted to do, and that doesn't normally happen for this company
Yeah.
in Anaheim. And Katrina now, they've got their marching orders at City
Yeah.
Council, and they're following through.
That's crazy. I can't believe how long it took. 8 hours
Yeah,
for
big
them to
public
kind of
hearing.
like go through it, talk about it, positives and negatives. I mean, it's wild that it was like literally like 7-0. Like nobody said
No
no.
dissent.
Nobody. And
No
I
one.
like I know the last time they did but like pre-COVID when they had their ideas, it wasn't like these ideas, right? It was pretty much all they wanted to do was close off part of downtown Disney, knock it down, and then build like a hotel and then redo kind of like the Disneyland Hotel backside. It wasn't like this spread out and thought of like, hey, we're going to build kind of like a Disney Springs type thing over by Toy Story parking, and we're going to with more shops and dining and all this other stuff, and we're going to build more theme park, and we're going to build more this. It was mainly like, hey, we're going to knock down this area inside downtown Disney and build a hotel, which rumor had it was going to be like the Galaxy, the Star Cruiser. And then they were going to try to like expand the Disneyland Hotel to be like the DVC area. And I was like, well, that doesn't really sound that great. And it just sounds really stupid and landlocked. Like this one, at least it's like spreading outward, and they're trying to like bring more dining and more like store options in like a safer environment versus having, I mean, yeah, that's like going to kill the, like, not the Grove. I keep calling it the Grove. It's not the Grove. What is it called?
Garden Walk, right?
Garden Walk. It starts with a G. So the Garden Walk, like that one's, they're going to like, that's going to die, once they open up this other area, Toy Story parking.
Sure.
But hopefully they'll be able to buy it out at some point or something and then make it like a really cool Disney Springs, because that's really great. But then parking wise, what's going to happen?
Well, it is the
You know what I
missing
mean?
link.
Like, where's
that
the
is for
parking
sure.
going to be?
I do like how the city does get to be like, well, Disney, listen, this is really what it is when you boil it down. They go, listen, Disney, you're screwed. We got you by we can have you do whatever we need you to do. And so they're like making them spend all this extra money on like all the side things to, make Anaheim better. And it's just funny. I love it. It's great. They should do that, but it's because it's a huge corporation.
I didn't watch the 8-hour thing, but I'm curious, did anybody mention how crappy the exiting of the parking garage to the 5 is? Like, that is the one thing that they need to fix. Like,
Yeah,
Disney
they really
needs to
do.
buy that area so they can say, okay, Anaheim, go F yourself, get out of here. Let us open up this like express parkway at all times. So when people leave the parking garage, we can always just have like an express thing to the 5 out of the parking garage and leave the main roads on the bottom alone, because this
Leave it
stupid thing of
alone.
the parking garage of like these 2 lanes get to go to the express pass to the 5, but then there's no signage for tourists to go, hey, this is the 5 south, the 5 north, and then everybody's just like make it
All over the place. I've seen it. Yeah.
it is so stupid. Please just figure it out. That's the number one thing they need to spend their $1.9 billion on, is to create like a nice expressway from the parking garages to the 5 and have it clearly said 5 north, 5 south. That's it. If you want to take the roadways, you go left or right.
You go
or
left.
Whatever. Or nowhere.
I think the goal is with the parking and bridges here in the graphic, the idea is to create a whole new garage over on the Pumbaa lot area, and that whole space back behind the hotels on Harbor. And then that is supposed to gobble up everybody going northbound, coming from the south. And then the Mickey and Friends and Pixar parking is supposed to gobble up everybody going southbound. So hopefully that will help alleviate a lot of the congestion, a lot of the chaos, because it is chaos. You're absolutely right.
And you need more signage. Like, no one knows if, like, Tyler and I, when we go to Disneyland, it's like, do we risk trying to go and see if Pixar is open? Because if we go, there's no signage. You just have to either you go straight. It's like Goofy movie, right? You go straight or you go right. Which one are you going to do? And then we just go straight. Like, we don't want to risk it, because then if we turn and like we go to Magic Way and see if it's open and it's closed, we have to U-turn and go all the way back around, and that's like another 15 minutes. So that would be great if they could spend just a little bit of money on signage and expressways to and from the freeway. That's all I want.
Bring that.
That'd be great.
That would be great. Well, $1.9 billion, I hope a little bit of that goes to some signage. You're right. And this Disneyland Forward proposal, it's a 40-year agreement with the city of Anaheim. So $1.9 billion over the course of, so it's $1.9 billion within 10 years of approval is what they're saying they're going to be spending, but it's a 40-year agreement overall. So let's
So we'll get it on
define
my
that line.
deathbed. So the day I die is when they're gonna say we're gonna build this expressway, and I'll be like, now I can die happy.
I mean, it leaves it wide open. You're
Year
absolutely right.
39.
I mean, that could possibly be the last thing that they do in this 40-year agreement, because it's wide open for Disney as to what they spend it on. There's just a handful of defining, letters in here that mark what they should be spending it on within 10 years. But they say we're promising this money up front to go into the investment process, but it's a 40-year deal, so they could take their sweet time on what it is that they'd like to do over the course of that 40-year plan. Thrilled to see it, though, finally getting that approval and finally moving on here. Feel like it's been talked to death in terms of, hey,
Yeah.
when's this going to happen? And, is the city really going to back it up? Well, Disney took their time. And I almost think it's a blessing in disguise. You talked about that hotel that was supposed to be developed in front of the
Mhm.
Disneyland hotel that they were proposing originally.
Yeah.
Thank God that didn't happen. What a
Oh,
mess that would
that would
be.
have been so
Yeah,
stupid.
that would have been tough on
I'm
them
so
for
glad they
sure.
said no.
Really, truly. Like, I'm thrilled that they stood their ground, the city did, and said, "No, we're not doing that. Like,
What was
you're not
Disney
going for it."
thinking?
I think they I was there at the time when that proposal happened. I
Oh.
think what the thought process going into it was that it was an easy way to develop land that was already zoned for the
Mm.
purpose. And I think they thought they were just going to receive like an automatic like green light from everybody, and it was just going to be a simple process to say, look, we're investing in, the politics at the time too in the city, along with development growth and promising things to the community and stuff like that. I think it was a short-term injection plan to make it look
Yeah.
like, look, see, we are committed, to the city of Anaheim.
Mm.
And then I think when Anaheim saw that, they were like, no, we see what you're doing. This is a short-term joke to try and appease us. Forget that. You better come back to the table with something more. And I
Yeah.
mean, and now look at this.
This
Look at
is
this
a
plan.
lot.
This
Yeah.
is big money, right? This is huge development. So, good. I'm thrilled to see it. I'm glad that they're doing it.
It's nice that they're doing like affordable
Mm.
housing, but also how about we just do some more affordable hotels? That'd be great.
That
Cause
would be
Yeah.
nice too.
Well, because at
their
the time,
price point is so high.
you're right. I agree. But like at the time too, when when the plan to build that hotel came out, wasn't Anaheim offering like tax breaks or something like that for anybody who
Right.
was building
Yeah.
5-star hotels?
Yeah. And Disney tried
Yeah.
to ride the coattails of that
Right.
also.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, and they said, we'll build one. We'll build one." And the city was like, "No. You're gonna come back with a real plan to
Mhm.
grow your business, to grow the commitment to this community. We've stood by long enough, and yeah, I'm thrilled again that they pulled that off, and now here we are, finally with some approvals, and I guess a much more friendly city council to the company too."
Yeah.
True.
You're showing this.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this Disneyland Discovery Hotel tower, and I want to
He's
go
like,
back.
I know. You can just hear it in his voice as he's talking, and it's just getting sadder and sadder. And I'm like, oh no, he's watching this video.
I
Uh,
must
I
I must
was
He's
dre-
ready to
I
return.
go
was
for the pool.
I was literally talking to Katrina like a week ago about like, oh, I'd love to go stay in that Discovery Tower again.
I know.
Well, I wanted to
Anyway,
mention to you guys also, just related to this, another viewer email regarding the Palm Breeze bar,
Oh
the
boy.
bar
oh
option at the base of the Discovery Tower that you're seeing here, that Tyler and Katrina many months ago shared their reaction to, and it wasn't all that pleasant. It wasn't all that thrilling. We've had other viewers go to the Palm Breeze bar and share their disdain. There were a couple of compliments too, but it was primarily a negative experience for them too. So, at any rate,
Oh.
Brandon
wow,
Lake, he wrote us recently and said how frustrated he was
Oh,
going to the.
Brandon.
oh
I hate
It's
yeah,
that.
stacking up.
I hate
it's
it.
it's
yeah,
stacking up. It's becoming a problem. Well, he mentioned how frustrated he's become because he said not only did he wait 20 minutes for a spot. I guess it was very popular. He said it was the evening, and I guess there were a lot of people there trying to take advantage of the Palm Breeze bar. But that not only did he wait with his friends to get a table, but then it took almost 40 minutes for their food to get to them.
Yeah.
Oh
And he said
my
that
gosh.
what they did consume left him thinking, why is this a place serving food at all? Is what he said. You know,
Right,
why
right.
why are they even making an attempt? Because he said the hot stuff that they got ended up being cold. It was like nobody had any care for quality. There was no
Yep.
care for quality, is how he put it, and it left them
The
very
price
disappointed.
point.
Yeah, he
That's the
said, and it
crazy
was so
part.
expensive.
Like their stupid charcuterie pizza. I like it is so ridiculous because they have that all over the resorts, right? It's nothing special. You can literally get the exact same pizza over at Grand Californian, and you just go over to the Hearthstone bar area and they have the exact same pizza. Or you
Yeah.
can go to the quick service over there and get the exact same pizza. It's nothing special. And then, but then on top of it too, it's just like you're going to this new Palm Breeze bar, but then the wind chill of like it making your food even colder. And then also it's just they have so many things going in that one baby kitchen. I'm like, oh my God, what an
Well,
afterthought.
yeah, I think just
The
to
quality
just to
is just
back up
crazy.
and describe it, just so we've talked about it before, but so people know, Palm Breeze also just shares a kitchen with like it's like three. I can't remember what the third one is, but I know one of them's the lounge, and then Palm Breeze, and then I think there's one more as well, but that one kitchen, which is like on the backside of the Steakhouse 55 kitchen, it's like it serves all those restaurants. So when you sit down at Palm Breeze and you see the amount of people there, then you have to imagine that there's also a full lounge on the other side. So this one kitchen is like serving different menus to two different or three different areas.
Yeah, so they have the
And
pool, like all the food from was it the food from the pool and the drinks from the pool on the Disneyland side go to this kitchen. Then the Palm Breeze bar goes to this kitchen. Then the pool in the new tower, their food goes to that kitchen on top of the Steakhouse 55 little bar that they have, their kitchen. It's all
yeah,
going out of the same one. So it's like they're dealing with like 5 different locations with,
Jeez.
little menus. It's like too much.
Yeah.
yeah. And the pool bar has a different food
Right. Than the
than the
Palm
Palm
Breeze.
Breeze does. So
So
it's
do
just
yourself a favor, mobile order from Tangaroa Terrace and you'll be happy.
yeah.
Just walk
Much happier.
So
walk your
they make
booty
it
over there, grab a drink,
yeah.
and you'll be happy.
So basically that whole thing is just to say they make it complicated for the kitchen. So I'm not surprised to hear it took you 45 minutes to get your food and it was
But
cold
that
because
sucks.
also the lounge is not close to the Palm Breeze. If you think about it, your food
No.
has to go quite a distance to get out there. So it's a bummer. That bar was clearly made to be a cheap investment
Yeah.
and to
Afterthought.
take advantage of no, I don't think it was an afterthought.
I mean, like the kitchen with the
I think
food.
they I think they thought very clearly that they wanted it to be a cheap situation for them. And I think they thought they were very clever because they're like, "Well, we have a
Sure.
kitchen over there. Why are we
Yeah.
going to build another
Pizza,
kitchen?"
burgers, and fries. That's easy. Everybody can eat it
Yeah,
all
I don't
around
think it
the
was an
resort.
afterthought. I think they very clearly thought it out to make it cheaper on themselves.
Yikes.
And so,
Operations always comes
yeah,
second to
yeah,
design, it
exactly.
seems. And yeah, Brandon mentioned how he said, I didn't think it could be as bad as everybody said it was, but it ended up being worse. And I'm so
Oh
angry that I
no.
spent time and money doing it.
I'm
So,
sorry. I'm
I
That's
mean,
just
sorry.
we
really
warned you.
sad. I mean, but
It's
sometimes,
expensive.
we get a little dramatic on our reviews
I do it
because
for sometimes I
I
get a little comedy effect drama going in there, as
Sure.
Katrina just said. Yeah, but go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
we get just like a little drama, but the thing is when you go on the Disneyland app to look at, day of reservations, what is one that is consistently like we always have reservations in the afternoon? Palm Breeze.
Palm Breeze.
Yoicks. Like, it's really sad. We're like, hey, we're like, let's go check to see if there's any walk up somewhere. Oh, well, Palm Breeze is wide open. I wonder why. We've
Yeah.
been
I'm sure
seeing
that
so many bad
stings.
reviews from everybody.
I'm sure that stings even more than to realize that he had to wait to
Well,
experience
I
it.
mean, nighttime stuff, it does get busier at nighttime, and
Yeah.
he probably went like on a busy weekend or maybe on a Friday where it's like everybody wants to go out and go do something, especially if you're on a vacation. Maybe they just all wanted to go grab drinks and stuff, and he wanted to go at night. So it was just bad timing, you know? And everybody was busy. So they all went there because, so that's just that's a bummer. It's like salt in the wound, you know? Like, it's
Yeah.
Salt
just,
in the wound.
you have to wait 20
Yeah.
minutes on top of another 45 to get your cold food. Yeah,
Yeah.
gross.
So
Money well spent.
his final review.
No, sir, I don't like it.
That was him. Thanks, Brandon, for
Yep.
stopping by.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you.
I'm glad you could share your thoughts. And as always, you can hit us up at Kingdom Report Live on social media, kingdomreportlive@gmail.com. If you have any thoughts on anything Disney Parks related as of late, if you have dropped in and experienced something and want to sound off, we are here for you. In talking about dining, I think it's good to balance things out. So out on
Wow.
the East Coast, Michelin Star rated Michelin Star rated Disney World Resort restaurant receiving its first Michelin Star in a while after I was corrected here a little bit ago. Like I said originally, I thought Victoria and Albert's at the Grand Floridian already had a Michelin star, and then Katrina, you mentioned, well, they did, and
Yeah.
then they took it away, and now it's back. So good to research that one on my end. It's fascinating because Victoria and Albert's being the only theme park restaurant in existence with a Michelin star.
Yeah.
This, I always hear people that have been and they speak volumes of the experience. Have you two ever been by chance?
We have once.
Yeah.
It was okay. So everybody loves it. The food was great. I'll preface that. The food was great.
The experience was
The
amazing.
experience was it was really great. It was just that it was really off when we went. It was just, so pretty much it's like you have to dedicate 5 hours to this, okay? So everybody knows
Gosh.
there's so many courses. They slowly give you these like tiny bites, and you have like 7 courses, and then there's always little upcharges. So they'll be like, oh, do you want to add this course? Do you want to add this course?
Would you like the truffle
So-
pasta? Would you like the Wagyu beef?
Yeah, and so you just keep adding to it, so then it adds more time to your there to be there, right? So instead of 7 courses, it's now 10, and then but then when they serve your dishes, they all serve it at the exact same time, and then they all take off the lids at the exact same time. So it's like a musical dance, It's like if you've been to Remy on the ships, it's just kind of the same thing. And when
It's a
we did it,
presentation.
it was a beautiful presentation,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it was a little off. It was just, it wasn't like bad or anything, but it wasn't like the same. And then there was like some
Some of our
hiccups
food
here
was
and there.
Some of our food was a little messed up.
But I will say, I, as a gluten allergy person, was blown away because each course has a bread service, like a different bread. They don't just like throw rolls on the table and say, here, have at it. In between each course, they give you another bread that kind of like goes with your next meal, kind of like to help with the palate, with different butters and salts and stuff. It's amazing. So then for me, I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to get the exact same bread every single course. Wrong. Absolutely wrong. I actually got like 3 different types of bread.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Oh my
Each course
gosh.
was something different,
they
and
were all-
I was blown away.
Yeah, and they were all like very unique and delicious too.
Yes.
It wasn't like, oh, here's a piece of Udi's and here's a piece
Yeah.
of Rudy's, and
Here's the same nasty white bread, but here's like new butter. Like it was
Yeah.
it was amazing. And then when people stare at it, I'm like devil eyes being like, don't you dare ask for a bite. Like these are
I
mine.
asked for a bite. I took my
I-
chances.
did.
I was down to lose a finger.
I was like, can you just take like a tiny nibble because I'm too scared to ask for more and ruin my dinner. But also they had this like really delicious like potato thing, and it was like it looked like a cinnamon roll, and it was like beautifully arranged. It was the best potato I've ever had. And that's crazy because potatoes are potatoes. But it was great. It was a beautiful dinner. It was kind of like for a very special occasion. It's hard to get into. I would say if you really want to do it for like a very special occasion, then by all means do it. It's a beautiful experience. And then
So
we were able to, yeah, be with Chef Israel, or not Chef Israel, but what's his name? Israel is his name, but his
yeah.
title is
Well, I think he's like a maitre d type situation.
yeah, but it's like something I don't know, but he's
Or a
amazing.
manager. He's a
Israel,
manager. He's like he's the manager, or he's one of the managers of
it's a
Victoria and
French
Albert's or something.
title. It's a French title. It's like a bougie French title of something of
But
the
he's
restaurant
amazing.
and
He's always been
hotel.
every time we're over, like in one of our friends.
Well deserved because he got a nod during
Yes,
this presentation for the Michelin Star, which was
exactly.
amazing,
Yeah,
hugely rewarded because
Oh,
he
that's
got
great.
moved around during COVID. So he had to go to Topolino and then he got
right.
moved over to Citricos and then waiting for Victoria and Albert's to reopen. And so he's been moved around a lot. And I'm so happy that he got the nod that he deserves.
Yeah, we did a dinner with him at Citricos where him and the chef
Oh
talked
yeah.
us through the entire meal.
It
Like
was great.
it was insane. It was so cool.
It was like
Um,
Victoria and Albert's, but because they couldn't really do that type of Victoria and Albert style, but it's the
Yeah.
same chefs from Victoria and Albert's, I think. And like during like that COVID transition when Citricos became like a Mary Poppins type thing, but
Right.
it was really great. And then, they did everybody got like a special menu. And that's the great thing. You talk about your likes and dislikes for food. So, I love fish and I love, like like shellfish and beef and stuff. And Tyler's not very he doesn't really like sashimi type fish, but he loves like shellfish. So they were able to, and I have a gluten allergy, he doesn't. So they were able to rearrange everybody's dishes. And we had like, 8 people there. So they were able to do special dishes for people that were vegan and gluten free. And,
Wow.
it wasn't lazy.
Really navigated it
They
well.
really did a great job making sure everybody had their dishes that they deserved. And then on top of the wine pairings, which were phenomenal. And by the end, you just can't stomach any more food or any more drink. And
So
then there was
good.
another person who hates wine,
yeah,
but
our
they
friend
did a
was like, "I don't like
cocktail,
wine."
but he wanted a pairing. And so they did a cocktail pairing for him. Like
They
literally
literally
every
can you
single
imagine
one.
like 7 cocktails? Just oh my gosh, he was
And
like,
they were
"Oh."
beautiful. It
Yeah,
was
they were
wild.
amazing too.
So it's worth
Anyway,
it,
anyway,
if you really do it.
that's Citricos, but I mean, so everything what we're describing right now is all very decadent and bougie,
Very bougie.
and so
That's Victoria and Albert's.
Yeah.
imagine when we went to Victoria and Albert's, it didn't even have a
Yeah.
Michelin star.
Yeah.
So now it does,
We got it.
and just I mean, so that's an amazing achievement. It's
Yeah.
it's a great, it is a fantastic restaurant, but I
Yeah.
will say, going into it, just so you know, it's going to be like
Very long.
extremely expensive.
Yeah.
Like you could take a whole entire vacation on the amount of money it would cost you to go to Victoria and Albert's one time. So
Yeah. If you want all those
be prepared.
add-ons, be ready for it. Cause it's
Yeah,
like,
but
oh, do you want dessert? Do you want cocktails? Or do you want these
even
special
without the
type
add-ons,
things?
it's expensive. So even if you went in there and you had no alcohol, no add-ons, you're still going to be paying a pretty penny. So
Yeah. Was it
um,
$250?
$295 per guest.
$295. Yeah. For
Prefixed.
the
Yeah.
basic.
but even that, like, that's an experience. So if you're very curious,
Yeah. It's not for a 10-year-old.
you
I don't know
know,
why they say like a 10-year-old and above. Like
no,
I
I
can't
would.
imagine a 10-year-old to sit here for 5
5
hours.
I'll be straight up with you. I wouldn't bring anybody under 20 to this thing, to be honest. I just
I
don't
would
think.
say like 25 at least. 'Cause
Yeah,
it's
I
like,
mean,
would
I
they
think
even
this
appreciate it?
this
No.
takes a level of appreciation that younger people may not, have, to be honest with you. So,
Or the
anyway,
intention to enjoy. Yes.
yes.
Right. 5 hours of sitting at a table might be a bit much for anybody. So
I was losing my mind by the end, to be honest. They go
It's a lot.
because you eat dessert, and then they go, all right, next is cheese course, and you're like,
No.
Cheese?
and you're like, and you're kind of like, I want to die now.
Yeah. You
You're
definitely
kinda
need to
like,
wear
if-
stretchy pants.
Yeah, like it's
He's gotta puke!
it's a bad situation. So
So
Yeah.
just don't
Well,
eat before you go there. Like you literally cannot
You have to
eat
fast
lunch.
all day.
You
Yeah.
really have to like
make it a
enjoy
day
it.
event. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, congratulations to Victoria and Alberts for reclaiming their Michelin star
Yeah.
and
Good for them.
Yay.
back on top. Here they go. Look out.
Woo.
One of the other stories I thought worth touching on for us here was around the policies that are changing for the Disability Access Service, DAS, as it is better known at the Disney parks. Anytime this gets touched, it seems like there is an uproar of rage surrounding it. And, as I had mentioned in the story, Disney has cited that this. Um, I guess service is what we'll call it.
Mhm.
Disney has cited that this service has started to be almost in their words abused, here in the last couple years where the volume of people that have come to utilize it has just surged through the roof and like really shocked them. And I think the last time that they made the big adjustment to this and um, tried to tried to rectify the last time around the abuse, led to a bunch of rage and frustration, and now they're doing it again because clearly people have found a way to manipulate the system and get to utilizing this service where they don't. It's like an old school fast pass, basically.
Yeah.
Um, where they don't have to wait in line and I guess claim that they have some sort of uh, eligible disability, we'll just say. And so, at any rate, Disney is adjusting the way that they're doing things again, and people are flipping out without knowing any of the specifics. And Disney's very tight-lipped when it comes to specifically how they're changing things, and people automatically just flip out on it. I know that I have witnessed even like influencers abuse this, like on camera,
Yes.
like they think that it's something that they can take advantage of, or
Sure.
they think that it's something that they can utilize. And I've watched as that has happened in recent years, and I'm like, see, this is why Disney's kind hand always gets bitten. It's because they are too generous sometimes, but at the same time they want to be as respectful as possible for the people that need it, for the people that deserve it. So I'm glad that they're tightening things up again.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, it's it's a shame because I've got two minds of this, and I think I have two different experiences that bring me close to this. And my first one is that we have very close friends that we've known for years and years that do straight up have a very hard time making it around the park, a very hard time, frankly, even walking for more than a few minutes.
Mhm.
And it's a huge ordeal for them to even spend time in the parks at all. And that's such a huge bummer because obviously, like all of us, I mean, if you're watching this right now, then you're like us all. We love these theme parks. I mean, this is what we're here for. And to not be able to experience them to the fullest is a huge bummer. And to be frank, the DAS system, when we're going around the park with like a parade of ECVs, it's hard to get everybody through there because you'd be surprised. I don't know if you would be surprised. I don't know. To be frank, a lot of people are rude when you're trying to just walk through the parks, and they'll cut you off. They'll get in your way. They won't care. So I'll have to get in front of my friends and be like a cattle guard on a train and be like, get out of the way.
Clear a
And
path.
exactly. And so if you think about it, that wastes a lot of time during the day. It really does. And people get upset, like, well, why do these people get to cut in line? And it's the same thing at the buses, like the buses in Disney World. Can I get on a soapbox for a second? Is that okay?
Oh, here we go.
Oh boy.
Because it makes me mad because my friends are lovely people and they don't deserve to be pooped on. Um, you know, they the first people that are allowed to get on the buses at Disney World are the handicapped. Anybody who's in a wheelchair, you know, who needs some extra help, they're the first people that are able to get on. And to be
Right.
frank, even if they show up last, they're the first people on. And you know what? Some people think that that's unfair. But if you really consider their entire day, how much time is wasted because of because of this hamstrung this machine we have to take everywhere we go through a giant crowd. It's we lose a lot of time in the day. I mean, and we don't, and we don't. It's not something we love. It's not something like when we're getting on the bus first, people stare at us, people make mean comments, whatever. It's not okay. We're we're doing the best we can when we go throughout the day. So,
Yeah. And
um,
mind you, guess how long sometimes they have to wait to actually get on the bus versus
yeah,
actually like getting pushed in like sardines, because only like 2 ECVs can fit on there inside the bus.
yeah,
So if there's 4 ECVs, then the first 2 go, and then they have to wait another 25 minutes or 30 minutes, 40 minutes for
right,
another bus to come. It's such, and those people don't see that though. They
right.
just say,
So
"Oh,
they
well,
they
you get to
only
go on
see
first."
they see how they're impacted, and they just think, well, that's unfair. But at the end of the day, people that are going through these struggles deserve certain help every now and then. They really, really do. And so DAS is an amazing program that really does help us out from time to time, because especially when we can't fit ECVs in the normal line, we can't get these things through there. And I'm not kidding. These people need them. It's not a joke. And they
Right.
deserve to go to the place they love just as much as you do, even if they have these struggles. So I think the program is very needed. So, on one hand, to make it harder for people to use it, it bums me out, because you can't always tell when people have like certain issues. And I would say that for my friends too. Like when you look at our friends, you wouldn't know exactly what was going on, to be frank with you. But there is something going on, and you can't just judge a book by its cover. So it's a bummer that they're changing these things at one point, but at the other side, I'm extremely angry because the people that are abusing these things, there are people that have preferences.
Right.
There are people that have preferences that they feel like, oh, I'm a little bit stressed out when I'm in this situation, or oh, I need to bring my pet here because it's my safety animal, like whatever it is. I'm going to be honest, and maybe this isn't the most popular opinion. Some of those things are preferences. They're not what you actually need. And I'm going to be real with you all. You're making it a lot harder on the people that actually need these things. And so that's what makes me angry at the end of the day. You're using your preferences to make a company do something for you, and at the end of the day, like it's an astonishing number to hear what it is, how many people in the past few years have started trying to use this service. And to be frank with you, that is abuse. You can't call it anything but abuse. So on one hand, good for Disney on cracking down. On another hand, shame on so many people for abusing the system. And it probably will be harder for us to actually use this system in the future, thanks to some of these people. But I feel like it has to be done at the same time. Like, what can you do? Like, it has to
Right.
be a fair system. So it's I know that was a very long-winded thing, but I'm very passionate about it. We've seen firsthand both
Clearly.
sides.
We've seen abuse,
And
and it's sad.
let me tell you, here's the other side of the story. I work in a very service-sided day job. I deal with people all the time, and let me tell you how many people are entitled to what they think they deserve when I work at the place and I know exactly what they deserve. And so for people that come in with that entitlement, I guarantee you they do the same thing with this DAS thing, where they have this entitlement because of a preference. And it's a huge bummer. It's a huge bummer that these people come in thinking, well, I paid money, so I should get what I need. It's like, no, sometimes you need to think about other people, because there are many other people that actually need it. And your preference is important, I understand, but sometimes a need is more important than a preference. Let's get them both straight.
Yeah. I remember they were very lax when they did the DAS before. Like, wasn't it if you had like like an injury or something, you could get ahead of the line, that type of thing. And it was like very easy to submit stuff and turn it in and get the DAS pass. So then, those people got to abuse it. And also they limited the number now, because it used to be like 6 to 8 people in your party got to all use it together, versus now it's 4. So they reduced that too, because that was also getting out of hand when everybody was kind of like, oh, well, I can easily get a DAS pass, no big deal. And it's for something that they don't even have anymore. I think forgot what I saw on TikTok or Instagram or something. And they were saying that it was a broken leg or something was with they had a surgery on their leg, so they couldn't stand in the queue. So they got a DAS pass and used that area to go through easily, and they got to bring all of their friends, and so they used it even when they recovered. Because it's like, how long is the DAS pass eligible for? Like a half a
Oh,
year or
I'm not
something? I
100%
forgot.
sure,
But it
honestly.
was like they don't need it anymore, but they still used it
It still
all the
used it.
time. And they were happy about it. And also, like, social media, man, it gets around when it, like, even with that
Right.
whole dress code thing, that took too much, like that went too far for people, abusing the dress code type of thing to get free merchandise. And then that they quickly put a stop to it. And then now people are taking advantage of the DAS thing. And then it's just social media, man. It just
Yeah.
gets around and
It,
it
it
ruins it for everybody, for the people that actually need it.
I mean, that's a really good point. It really is the social media thing, because so many people get on there now and they're like, "I've got a life hack that'll help you," and I see
Yeah.
it for my job too. I don't want to say what I do exactly, but I see it for my job, where I see all the time on TikTok or whatever, like, here's a hack to get the most you can get, and I'm like, and I see that and it makes me so angry, because what you're
Yeah.
doing is you're taking advantage of employees, and you're taking advantage of people who want to do the right thing. And that's exactly what's happening at Disneyland with DAS on a grander scale than anything that's happening at my job, but on a more vicious scale, in my opinion. So it makes me mad.
I
It's
just hope
sad.
that they're fair. Like, I hope that it's not just for people that have, you know, I hope that it's when they do the interview, because they have to interview you either what day of, or you can schedule like an interview via Zoom
Right.
or something before your trip. I just hope that they actually take their time and interview those people correctly, because sometimes the disabilities that people have are, like what Tyler said, are not easily seen, and they do need those types of things. But for the people that, like Tyler said, that bring pets because they want to, and they don't really need to bring them, then yeah, then they shouldn't be able to get that. And it should be
Well,
streamlined too. They shouldn't just pick and choose, because then it's going to be a whole uproar. If someone else had like this similar disability and they got a DAS pass and it was, blasted all over social media, but then other person had the exact same thing and they didn't get one, then it's going to be like a huge uproar.
absolutely. Well, and I see, as cited in the story, they talk about how especially trained cast members are a part of sort of the video evaluation interview that they do with the people interested in enrolling in the DAS process. And, also specifically in the story, they outlined how um, they're, yeah, since they don't require proof of disability for access,
Hmm.
they they yeah, they point out here that the program is intended to assist a small percentage of guests who, due to a developmental disability like autism or similar, are unable to wait in a conventional queue for an extended period of time. So I would imagine that these special cast members, right, these specialized
Hmm.
cast members who evaluate this sort of a thing, are well versed
Yeah.
in determining whether or not somebody with a more severe stage of a developmental disability could, qualify for this DOS program. And so, yeah, I read that and I think, geez, well, I hope that they're bringing in, sort of highly certified
Yeah.
individuals that understand this from a psychological perspective, because that's, it's not always clear, and so to be able to still support that demographic, and then on top of that, try and root out the troublemakers, try and root out those who are continuing to create a problem for the folks that really do need this. I mean, I want to see them pushed out of this process, but you talk about the life hacks, you talk about how it gets around on social media, how to manipulate these things, how to, life hack these things. And yeah, to hear that requests for this program have tripled over the past 5 years. I mean,
Yeah,
social media, right? That, or
it's
I mean, are there
crazy.
really that many more people that are in need of this program truly? Or I hear tripling over the last 5 years, and I feel like a lot of people don't know that it exists that do need it. I
Right.
think a lot of people have no clue that it's even available to them, and they actually could benefit.
Right.
And I feel like this is something that gets taken advantage of by the wrong demographic far too often. So happy to hear that they're tightening the screws.
And I just hope that it's not just for the developmental disability and autism and similar, because they do need this line, but also there are other people that have, mental illness, like not mental illnesses, physical illnesses that can't, like what Tyler said, like can't walk very far.
Mhm.
And the queues over in Disney World and in Disneyland are not meant for ECVs to maneuver around. Like there are some queues that are wide enough, but some queues like Rise of the Resistance is not very user friendly, for those types of things. So I hope that they're more lenient on those issues as well for people that have, like a physical disability where they have to be in like an ECV or something like that to use that DAS pass as well.
Yeah. I
Absolutely.
I just gotta say one more thing. I saw the
Go for it.
comment. I
Here
saw
he
the
goes.
comment you I saw the comment you put up, and I gotta be honest with Oh Please over here, which is a great name for what you just said. It it is so morally reprehensible to even insinuate that it's okay to fake or lie about any type of disability because of somebody's prices. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that is you really need to check yourself if you think it's okay to lie or create a disability for yourself and your family so you can cut in a theme park line.
Yeah.
That's
Not
something you
cool.
really need to think about. Okay?
It's disappointing to think that there is a situation at hand where people are um, being deceptive on purpose over matters where they're more than capable of being able-bodied and doing things that they need to do, and yet are still taking advantage of a system that is put in place for the individuals that are not. And you're right, it is kind of reprehensible to think, but on the flip side of that, it's like, well, is there really much? I don't know. I look at reality television and stuff like that. It's a greater societal conversation of like,
Oh, it sure
is there
is. You're
shame
100%
anymore?
correct.
I don't think there's much shame anymore in
I think
life.
you're right. I think that's our problem, I don't even think it's just based on Disney. I think our problem is we have there's a lot of conversation to be had, but at the end of the day, like us being so connected with social media is probably our huge problem. Like
Yeah,
that really at the end of the day. But let's not get too existential here. Let's just talk a little bit more about theme parks because that's how I'm feeling. I want to get a little bit happy now.
absolutely. Well, thrilled that they are tightening the screws on this process for the sake of trying to root out those that are taking advantage of it for all the wrong reasons. I know that we were talking a little bit earlier in the news breakdown of how Disneyland character performers are now just a stone's throw away from unionization. And they are this close now to a vote, which, boy, this moved fast. This became much quicker in terms of development than I thought they were going to be able to pull together. But I think the Labor Relations Board and the unions involved definitely hit the gas, hit the accelerator on this, because this is a group, as we have mentioned in past broadcasts, that the unions have salivated over. They have long wanted to get the character performers at Disneyland into a union. And now, again, they are one vote from making that a reality. I
Wow.
shared my harrowing experience in a recent broadcast of being a part of a union at Disney, and the kind of hellish nature of things that happened, the disappointing activities that surrounded being a part of a union at Disneyland. And while I think unions have served a really important role in especially this country's development towards labor laws and comfortable work environments. I feel like now more and more unions to a certain degree have become what they have fought all along, and that is unions have become a big business themselves. And I feel like far too often unions get cast in this light of like, oh, they're there for the little guy. Well, they used to be, but now all I ever see are unions swooping in and taking from the little guy, and saying, "We're here to represent you. We're here to take care of you." All I ever see are these unions sticking up for the bad people, and they always saved the person that didn't belong in the company that deserved to be fired. They would show up and save those people. This was my experience at Disneyland. They would show up and save the people that most deserved to be fired, that were terrible at their jobs, that treated everybody else awful, and those that did the job well and were reliable and everybody loved, they would show up and do nothing for them. They would say, "Well, there's not a whole lot that we can do in this case," or "Oh, well, there's really nothing we're going to be able to swing." And I witnessed that time and time again. And I was paying into it every month. And I always thought, what am I getting out of this? I just don't understand. So my experience with a Disneyland union was horrible. And that union itself, even on the surface level, was very corrupt. We all saw it. They brought in their own family members to be officers, and a lot of corruption surrounding where the money was going. And still, to this day, that union exists, and that union represents a large majority of Disneyland cast members. And I know that the resort itself despises that union in particular. That union is not this union, though. That is looking to represent the Disneyland character performers. I said it before, Tyler and Katrina. Yeah, you may you may want this sort of a thing now, but boy, when you get it, suddenly you realize I am giving up more money for what they are saying is representation. And I am not seeing a whole lot in terms of developments that have benefited me on the back end. So I hope that for their sake, that this union that is going to represent them is far more trustworthy and responsible than the union that I worked with when I was at Disneyland.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Unions are really hit and miss. I feel like you were alluding to there. It. I mean, I don't know. Clearly, they were important to the growth of a lot of the smaller income people in America. I mean that that makes it really was important. Like unions were very important, but at the same time, there does come a point where it starts to hurt people. At the end of the day, I remember during COVID, when it comes to Disneyland in particular, when things were reopening, it was like, you know, certain people got a leg up on other people they couldn't have like front gate people working because they couldn't come to agreement on the front gate people, but you couldn't have anybody else working there
Right.
because of the union. Only the front gate people could work there. So in the long run, is that really helping people or hurting people? Actually, I think that's hurting people. Maybe it's helping the small amount of front gate people, but I actually think it's hurting people if people want to work and they can't. So you're right. I think it's a little bit of back and forth. Um I don't know. It's good for the actors, I guess. I just am not. I felt like they were not the ones that really needed the most help at Disneyland. Um
Right.
which we've talked about previously, because this is the second time we've kind of like we're kind of reiterating on
Yeah.
not reiterating, but this is kind of an update on the story
Right.
that we've talked about previously, and we've talked about it before. But I don't feel too bad for the for the actors. I got to be honest. Good for them. I just want everybody to have what they think they deserve, and and this is a giant corporation, So I'm not as worried about the corporation as I am about these individual people. So good for the people getting what they think they deserve is what I will end my thought on.
Yeah, as we mentioned in the story prior, the performers typically, they're the most well taken care of in terms of cast member at the
Exactly.
resort. And that is not just from the perspective of somebody who used to work there in another position like Tyler, but from somebody like myself who happened to be the leader of this team. I can tell you that I was a part of the entertainment group. I was a part of and in these break rooms. I was with these performers quite often. I can share with you, they are, in fact, the most well taken care of all the cast members. And I used to think, well, this is where the money goes. This is where all
Sure.
that revenue goes to. It's to look after these performers and to take care of them. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm sure because it's been many years since I've been there. I'm sure that there are some real frustrated arguments as to what has led them to this. I'm sure there are some things that perhaps we don't even understand that have led the department to decide this is what they want to do. It sounds like perhaps they aren't being heard. Maybe they had some requests that were not being taken care of and were not being fulfilled. And maybe things have changed. Maybe things are a little bit different than what I
Sure.
had originally experienced. It has been several years, like I said. So perhaps things took a different course. And, we got to remember these performers returned in the midst of a pandemic. I'm sure that was very eye opening for them, as, even though they were being kept at a distance from guests for the longest time, that probably opened their eyes as performers to sanitation more than ever before. That probably
Hmm.
was in the back of their head more than ever before of, hey, I'm really thinking about this for the first time, or I'm really concerned about this for the first time. And maybe
Yes.
that's where this is stemming from. It's maybe coming out of that pandemic experience, and them saying we deserve a little bit more when it comes to how we're taken care of.
Yeah. It is funny. Like Disney is so they're so I mean, they do so well to the customer in so many situations that they are so front facing when it comes to how beautiful their park is. Because if you go backstage ever, it's a dump. That place is a dump, in my opinion.
Backs out of the Walmart, right?
It is so bad. Everywhere you go is like falling apart. I mean, frankly, Disneyland is held together with like duct tape and a dream.
It sure
Um,
is. It's
so it is what it is. But y- to answer your question, Palos Adventures, I think that a lot of them are professional actors when it comes to the like stage performers and
right.
maybe even some of the face characters and things. But the people that are, I think most of the people that are out interacting with guests on a regular basis, I wouldn't necessarily call professional actors. I think what I would consider a face character is kind of like an improv situation. You're kind of like a
Right.
groundling in a way. You're doing improv with your guests that are coming up with you, and I think that's I guess I would consider that acting to a certain degree, but really you're just trying to maintain a character and you're trying to maintain this magical facade. I think. Um, I don't know. I think that I could see some of the stage actors getting a little bit better preference than some of the walk around characters, frankly.
Well, a
Uh,
great way to sort of separate, who is represented and who isn't in terms of being professional actors. Um, I think I think a simple way to narrow it down is basically anybody on a microphone is
sure.
represented by the performers union, and that is yeah, I'm trying to think. There might be an exception here or there, but anybody mic'd up basically is considered someone represented by like SAG, AFTRA, and stuff like that. So those unions definitely do represent the more, I guess we'll call higher end professional performer. Like I don't want, I'm not trying
Yeah.
to
They're
be disrespectful,
ultra
but like
professionals.
yeah, those who perform with mic'd abilities that have to perform a script sort of a thing. A great example of this was if you ever went to say Ariel's Grotto back when it existed before it became the Lamplight Lounge. Um, Everybody in that restaurant was non-union when it came to the characters that you met, but the person that came out on a microphone and sang and introduced everyone, they were union represented by SAG-AFTRA. They were considered
Oh.
more of a performer than the princesses that you met, sort of a thing.
That's funny.
So that would be the differential between the two.
So I wonder. I'm assuming too. Like we did like a couple wine tastings for Food and Wine recently. I'm assuming those people that come out and they're like, "Oh, hello, welcome to Food and Wine." They're probably actors too. To a
Yeah,
certain
yeah,
degree.
I wouldn't doubt that. And
Yeah.
then of course, a lot of the folks that end up appearing on stage, with the exception. So, like, I think another a great example of this is over at um, the Princess Fantasy Fair area,
Mhm.
where they do the vaudevillian style shows. The guys that are mic'd up that tell the story, they are represented, I believe. However, like, if they're on their say they are present telling the story of Tangled, Rapunzel and Flynn Rider show up, they're not represented, but the guys that are on mic telling the story are. So I find it fascinating the way
That's
that it all
Yeah.
wild.
works.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird world, but anyway, now the rest of those performers are looking to be represented. So we wish you all well in your ambition to be represented. I hope it ends up being exactly what you're looking for, because again, my experience has not been a good one, and it was there. It was at Disneyland. It was a different union, of course, but I don't witness too many other unions pulling through on the things that they should be. And to me, when I'm paying for something, I expect results, and I wasn't getting that with mine. So I hope that it works out better for this group if they do end up unionizing. As I think we also mentioned the last time around when we were talking about this story, is when the puppeteers at Disney wanted to unionize. When we think about like the Disney Junior show, their California Adventure, I mean, those were all puppets at one point. When they pulled together to unionize, boy, that show went away real quick. The need for puppets went away real quick.
Oh
Suddenly,
yeah.
those people didn't have jobs anymore, and they were replaced by these character performers now at the Disney Junior show. So I don't think that Disney is going to eliminate characters, of course, the meet and greets, because they can't. That's such a big part of the experience. But I do think that they will minimize the way in which these performers are used in the future because of this development. So we'll see.
Possibility.
Yeah, disappointing for sure. But at any rate, those would be sort of the top stories of the week. As we had touched on a little bit ago, Disney Plus potentially overhauling the streaming service to add some new TV channels. We did talk about this, I think, in passing, but I think about how streaming in general. I remember when more and more streaming services started to come online, in particular when Disney Plus was announced, and I thought, everybody's racing to do this. Has anyone thought about the long-term financial impact? Because it just doesn't seem practical in terms of like growth to me. It doesn't
Mhm.
seem realistic. And I'm not a finance guy. I don't live in that world. In fact, I don't even like that type of world. But that was something that was in the back of my mind as the streaming wars began. I thought everybody's racing to do this. Isn't this like this is going to bite them eventually? Like, this doesn't seem like it could last for very long. And then they're going to need to either up pricing for the services that they're providing, or they're going to figure out another way to pull this off. And with the discussion of the potential of ads being inserted into these channels that could be added to the Disney streaming service, Disney Plus streaming service, it's like, okay, looks like we're there. Looks like we're back to cable
Mhm.
again.
Yeah.
Pretty much. And I was actually thinking about this stuff yesterday because I just was thinking to myself, I was laughing because I've been watching Fallout. Everybody should watch Fallout on Prime, on Amazon Prime. Unless you don't like gruesome stuff, then don't watch it. But
Oh, okay.
it makes me giggle because Amazon Prime recently added advertisements to their whatever to them, and So now when I click on one of those Fallout videos, there's literally a guy at the beginning that goes, this video has been brought to you ad-free by the following message. and then it plays a 45-second advertisement. And I go, that's not ad-free. That's not ad-free.
They do it on iHeartRadio too. It drives me nuts.
You can't say something is ad-free after a message and then just show me an advertisement. And by the way, there's a countdown in the upper right-hand corner that says ad next to it. So anyway,
not right.
So anyway, the bottom line is I think a lot of people are these different companies are realizing like, well, we got to put ads in. And like you just said, Wade, it's making me think back to cable too, because this is what we did, right? This is what we used to do. We paid money for cable and we still got advertised to like that. Yep. because we were paying the cable company, but we weren't necessarily paying, I don't know, Comedy Central or, so they had to make money somehow, and it was advertisements. And that's what we're seeing now again. This bubble is starting to pop. We're going to start to see more and more companies do these advertisements. And I've been thinking that, my advertisement free Amazon Prime had one advertisement in it. Eventually they will add another one, and then they will add another one, and then they'll add another one. And it will be back to, now you're watching more commercials than you ever have. And that's where we're headed. And that's unfortunate. But as far as Disney Plus creating their channels, it's got to be smart for them, because I don't know what else are they going to do at a certain point. They do need to inject some advertising into it, like straight up. They can't just keep creating their TV shows, because we've talked about I don't even remember what it's called anymore. Invasion or Secret Invasion, was that what it was called?
Secret Invasion. Yeah.
That like they just spent like $200 million on it or something like that, and it was like they lost it all. You can't do that. You can't just create TV shows that nobody cares about. And that's what they were doing constantly. And
they definitely polluted the market.
Yeah.
On Marvel stuff.
It wasn't just them. It's like everybody. Everybody's just like, well, we have our shows, and it's like, okay, you do, but are they worth my time? A lot of them, not so much.
Dang.
And it's not just Disney. It's everybody. Like, there's a lot of. The thing is that everybody's trying to find a way to make profit. So they're trying to create content for as cheap as possible. And so that just makes bad content. And then nobody wants to watch bad content or even mediocre content.
Nobody does. It's all about quality. Yeah. Well, and advertising might be in our near future with all of the streaming services. Fred mentioning here, back to the unionization story. If you finance good wages out of profits, the shareholders sue for diluting stock prices. Don't pay enough, cast members walk or unionize. This is all going to be a price increase for us, unfortunately.
Yep.
We will see.
That's what it always is too. It's a price increase.
It will be probably wrapped into other needs to raise the ticket price. And I don't think you're too far off, Fred. I think you're probably right. Sadly. Yeah, that's the way that it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that about wraps up this edition of Disney News Talk Live. So grateful that you could spend some of your weekend with us, or if you're watching on demand after the fact, thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for spending time with us on demand and jumping around like you probably do, listening to the different stories and hearing us weigh in on the topics. I know that there is a big news week ahead at Disney. We will see what ends up making headlines. Certainly excited to join you once again next week, Saturday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. Are you two heading to the parks anytime soon?
Probably not.
I don't know. It's going to be like a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Because we went last weekend, I think. So we're going to try to like go every couple weeks or so. So probably when like Pixar Fest like kicks off and stuff, we'll probably go show our faces and maybe in a couple weeks.
Frankly, we got to get over to Universal Studios here because for anybody who cares, it is the 60th anniversary of the studio tour. And they're celebrating that in a pretty big way. And that seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. Southern California staple Hollywood studio tour. I mean, you can't go wrong with that.
Nope. If you
Can't
see
go
us,
wrong
say
with that.
hi.
Yes.
As always, yes. Say hello. Let us know. And yeah, can't wait to go pose in front of that monstrosity for Pixar Fest at Christmas Tree Point there in Town Square. Looks
Oh
good.
my god.
He's
Sure
not
does.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Nothing like it. That's
it
for
just
sure.
doesn't just I don't really have a problem with the aesthetic. I kind of like the aesthetic. I just don't think it fits in at all in the middle of Main Street. It just looks really strange to me there.
It does.
I
Yeah.
just I
I
just
really
don't
thought it
understand
was
that.
going to be all stained glass. I really did. For some reason, I was like, it's got to be pretty, right? With the sun coming through the characters and stuff, and then it's like a kindergarten project where it's just like paper mache stuff. I'm like, ugh, never mind.
I know we took a wait and see approach with that one when we saw the concept art. And now that it's
Yeah.
showing up and we're seeing it live and in person, it's like, oh, well, this is what it looked like. That's too
This
bad.
is it.
Yeah.
This is what it is.
Yeah. Oh well.
Well, I'm
It
looking
is what
forward
it
to
is.
I'm looking forward
It'll
to
be here
the
until
other
August.
magic Pixar Fest will bring. And yeah, we'll see you all next week once again, Saturday, 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific, for another edition of Disney.